Hey, I'm Jason Chapman, and I run a music store with my brothers, John and Jeremy. People are always asking, what is it like to be in a family business? Well, I've been in a band with my family for the last 28 years.
And if that wasn't enough, we recently opened a music shop. Since opening the shop, we found that the people that come through the door are just about as unique as the instruments they carry.
And now, since they gave us a TV show,
we leave the cameras running, and there's always something going on at the shop.
Welcome back to another episode of the Ozark Music Shoppe. We are back. I am John. This is Jason. That is Jeremy. What are you doing?
Can you figure out who's on the show today? Rodney Dillard! One of the darlings! Yes!
Right.
I thought it was a dead giveaway.
Not quite, but
I knew what
some
you were
people
doing.
know what you're talking
Very,
about.
very, very excited about this episode.
This is Ozark legend music right here. These guys came from the Ozarks. Originally, when we were from Colorado, we used to listen to these albums all the time. And imagine listening to Mitch Jane tell stories and the rest
About
of the band
the
tell
Ozarks.
all about the Ozarks. And it was amazing the first time we came here to be able to kind of see what they were talking about. These guys really kind of put it on the map.
Not only though are they a part of Ozark culture, they're American culture.
That's right.
These guys were on the #1 family show in the world,
Of all time.
the Andy Griffith
Still
Show.
today.
Yes, they're on there a lot. Actually, they performed as the Darlings. You know, their old man had the jug.
It's pretty good. And they went like this. And Rodney talks about that, how they did that take on the show, and it became, again, legendary. So this is a very exciting episode. We need to quit talking because there's so much to get to. Rodney tells so many stories and plays some great music. Just kind of a dream come true episode for us. Ladies and gentlemen, Rodney Dillard.
It's been 10 long years since I left my home in the hollow where I was born, where the cool fall nights make the wood smoke rise and the fox hunter blue his home. I fell in love with a girl in the town. I thought that she would be true. I went away to Charlottesville to work in a sawmill crew. What had they done to the old home place? Why did they tear it down? And why did I leave my plow in the field and look for a job in town? The girl ran off with somebody else. The taverns took my place. And now I stand where the old home stood before they took it away. Now the geese fly south and the wind grows cold as I stand here and hang my head. I've lost my love, I've lost my home, and now I wish that I were dead. What have they done to the old home place? Why did they tear it down? And why did I leave the plow in the field and look for a job in the town? What have they done to the old home place? Why did they tear it down? And why did I leave a plow in the field and look for a job in town? You gotta say ho!
Hey!
A great big howdy and a couple of duties to you.
All right, we are here today with Rodney Dillard, who's going to serenade us with a beautiful song right now?
It's just background music.
Oh, it's background music. I appreciate that.
That's called source music.
That's how they do it in Hollywood.
Is that how they do it in Hollywood? Is that kind of what you've been doing? Is like writing background music for the last few years?
Oh, I've been doing a lot of things. Musically, I have to get myself together. What have I been doing? I've been reinventing myself every day. You know, I get up in the morning and I reinvent myself.
What is that meeting like in the morning?
Boy, you have to have a strong stomach. I've enjoyed over the years. The whole thing about this is so surreal to me. I was raised not too far from here in Salem, Missouri, on a farm that's been in the family since 1865. It's a century farm. And I'm beginning to feel like a century person. But grew up, my mother and dad both played instruments. My dad played an old-time fiddle and mother played the guitar. And I thought everybody did. That's the way it was. I can remember when I first got interested, my brother and I did in music, was mother had an old guitar. And she put it behind the couch and says, when I'm gone, I don't want you boys to touch that guitar.
That's the secret.
Yeah. That is the secret.
And that's how that started. And then later on, my dad bought my brother a banjo, a K. I can remember Douglas's first thing he did with that K banjo is he took it outside, took a magnifying glass, and burned his initials in it. DFD. There it was. And then I ended up with an old silver tone guitar, and pretty soon Dad had a band. Then we got to the point where we started playing all the head knocking clubs in Missouri back then.
The head knocking
Chicken wire.
Oh,
So what'd you get billed as? Was it the Dillards then?
no,
or
we were
was
just a couple of kids out trying to get in, underage. We weren't. No. Yes, I'm 47. Here I'm 13, right? And we met up along the way. I'm cutting this really short, but we met up with Hartford. And Doug and I in Hartford played some things together and played Under the Bridge in East St. Louis at the bars. And,
Really?
And, first one thing, then Doug, he went to college. I was still in high school. We cut our first record, and it was a tune called Banjo and Holla. Mm-hmm. I was 16, and he was probably 19 or somewhere in there, so 15. And we cut several things that got on WCKY, Cincinnati 1, Ohio. Send now and get your free, fishing lure and your the entire Lord's Last Supper done in rice.
That would be a heck of a prize.
Yeah.
You should. I hope you still have that.
Well, that's what they were advertising, and so from there on, we had a song on the jukebox in all the bars in St. Louis. They'd go in, that's us, yeah. And then I was in college. I'd gotten these stupid college scholarships for some reason, and
So you're college educated? Are you trying to convince me that you're college
what? I had the opportunity to be college educated. And I decided that wasn't for me. I said, Douglas, I'm getting out of here. I can't handle this anymore. This college stuff, it's not me. I said, let's go to California. And at that time, what was going on, we met some friends who had a little recording studio, Peter Weston, in St. Louis, and we went into his and cut our first project, he and I, and Dean. Dean overdubbed the bass on it.
Really?
And Mitch, by this time, we had befriended Mitch, who was a disc jockey in Salem, Missouri. He'd go out and change the flashlight batteries, and then he could broadcast. And I met Mitch because I traded him banjo lessons. I gave him banjo lessons for a boxer dog.
Good trade.
And the dog was chasing my horse and running it through the fence, and I had to get rid of that and chasing the neighbor's cow. So that deal didn't work out well for me.
For him.
No, but then Mitch heard that tape, and he says, I have a sister who works for a famous producer out there at the time, Wolf, forgot what it was. Anyway, we ended up with getting an agent before we ever got out there.
So was the idea to get into movies and television?
Our idea was just to get out of town. So we piled in a 55 Cadillac, Deaton's Cadillac, and a one-wheel trailer with $60 and headed for L.A. and got as far as Oklahoma City.
It's just a little short. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah. 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 Actually,
ahead.
it was 3 months before we got to L.A.
Really?
But I'll skip that sordid part and get to the point where we finally got enough money to get out to L.A. Remember going into the Melrose Motel, because that's all we could afford. They rented it by the minute. And,
So a classy joint is
yes,
what you're
it
saying.
was, yes. And we ended up going to the place they call the Ash Grove. That was the sort of the petri dish of all the folk culture. Like I said, when people were coming up to me and asking me, what do you think of the existentialist dilemma? I said, I was Presbyterian for a long time. And true, because I didn't know it. And we walked into this place, got our instruments in the lobby, and started playing. And the guy who owned the club at the time says, you can't do that here. He said, do it on stage. It so happened, and this is the way, it's like one of those stories. The Elektra Records guy was there, from Elektra. William Morris, agent, was there and saw us. And right after that said, when we came on stage, said, would you like to make a record? And I said, what's it going to cost us? He said, we'll take care of all that. So we ended up initiating a record deal with Elektra Records and signing with William Morris about a week after we'd been there.
Wow.
And they put a little blurb in the Hollywood Variety that said, these weird-looking guys from the Ozark playing this really funny kind of stringy music, And Andy had a script in front of him. It was called The Darlings Are Coming. And he said, we need some rangy-looking guys who play, bluegrass music. He said, call these guys up. We went over there. They were shooting an episode. Picture this, you guys. Salem, Missouri kid walks into Gulf Western Studios, and we were auditioning for the Andy Griffith Show, which I used to sit and watch, Boy, that'd be fun doing that show. And Andy stopped the filming of what he was doing. He and the director, Bob Sweeney, sat in front of us and said, show us what you got. So, if I can remember, it ain't the key, I'll tell you. Old Reuben made a train and he put it on the track, ran it to the Lord knows where. Andy, about halfway through the song, slapped his knees and said, that's it. I turned to Douglas and said, they're throwing us out. And it turned out that he said, where are you going? You got the job. And we were supposed to do one episode. The second episode, we were sitting there in the commissary having broke for lunch, and there was a guy, I can't remember his name. He was the producer of the show, but he talked like this. He walked by and he slapped a whole bundle of letters. He says, each one of these letters represent 150,000 people that liked what you did on the show. So it continued. We did 6 or 7 of them.
If you're looking for an acoustic instrument, the Acoustic Shoppe is the place you want to go. The Acoustic Shoppe, we've been open about 4 years now and have been nominated Top 100 Dealer at NAMM Show for 2 years now.
At the Acoustic Shoppe, we mainly focus on acoustic music instruments and the accessories that go with them. Guitars, mandolins, banjos, basses, and accessories and the lessons and repairs that go along with those. It's something that we've been passionate about for the last 28 years of our lives, playing in a family band growing up. Then we opened a all-acoustic music store in Missouri to help fill the needs of people that are more focused on just that niche of the genre.
With us having all those years on the road, it's really helped us to find the right instrument for the right person. When somebody calls us or comes into the shop, we can actually talk to them and know exactly what kind of instrument would be the best fit for them. And I think that's just something that we bring that a lot of people can't.
Started out teaching lessons before we even opened the shop, so that is something that has been a passion of ours for the last 15 years.
I believe we've said this is where the pros teach, and I truly believe this is where the pros teach.
At the Acoustic Shoppe, this isn't just what we do, this is who we are.
So if you're wanting to learn how to play the banjo, the fiddle, the mandolin, guitar, the Acoustic Shoppe's the place for you.
I can't tell you what this means to me.
Well, I can't tell you what it means
it's-
to us. This was like a super honor to be a honorary Dillard for the night. It was like big deal. There's an album called Live Almost that was probably, I can remember as a kid, I listened to that thing cover to cover, start to the end. I love the cover, by the way, with you laying there with the flowers and the whole deal.
That was that's getting close to reality now. 76, but that came together because they said, "Well, he's here." Harvey, what's his name, with the Electra, said he's here to take the album cover. And I said, "Well, we just don't want to stand there with the instruments, or in front of a real fence, or a cow head." So I went out to there was a house across the street from the studio, and I went out and stole a bunch of their flowers. Run back in, and we found the sawhorse and put these planks. They were doing something, and I just laid down on that with my bare feet, like in a wig,
Yeah.
And that's how that picture came about.
That cover, I remember it very, very well. And it was not only the music that was also so amazing. The live show was cool because there was these stories that with every song, like you mentioned, Old Blue. And I remember that story as a kid, the whole deal of talk about, the difference between the people in California singing Old Blue, and it was like this sweet song about a dog. And he says, and I remember Mitch, was talking about how that we looked at dogs differently in the Ozarks. And that was what I think was so cool about what you were doing was it wasn't an act, I know a lot and I'm assuming when you guys were out in LA, everybody kind of thought it was like this crazy act and these weird hillbillies showing up and doing this deal, but it seemed like it was all genuine. It seemed like Mitch, that was his style,
We wrote, and in that time I was playing like you always had the guy who plays the foil, and I was doing that part, and it was all facial stuff. But we would sit down and figure some things out that would work and would not, but they would be based on true stories.
Yeah.
Because I did grow up with an outhouse. And when I was a little kid, I did not want to go out in the wintertime in the Ozarks. You know what it's like?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so anyway, we wanted to let people know in the city what rural folks were really about, not the Judy Canova kind of thing, that Hollywood portrayal of the hillbilly. Mm-hmm. Hollywood was presenting the music in a different way. He didn't realize that people who played bluegrass, mountain bluegrass music had integrity and values. They weren't just, drinking out of a jug and chasing their sister. So there was integrity there, and we wanted to let that come across, even with the humor, by making fun of ourselves. There wasn't any kind of crass jokes.
Yeah.
Like the hillbilly humor with the blacked out teeth and all that.
And for us, I don't know if you know this or not, but we're actually born and raised in Denver, so Colorado boys. We didn't have either side of that. It was what we saw. But I remember listening to those albums, and it gave us this whole new vision of what life was like out here. I didn't been out here, so I didn't know what it was. But it was a cool experience. To hear what you guys were talking about. Like I said, that album meant a ton to me. All the Dillard stuff was a huge deal for us, but we're in a total different setting altogether, and listening to what you guys were talking about was cool as a young kid, and like I said, I'm sitting here literally holding this album in front of me, listening to all those stories, and the music was incredible, obviously. The hits that you guys did, one right after the other. This was stuff that still to this day, there's a lot of people that don't even know that these were Dillards tunes, but they're doing them.
Just about every jam session.
Every jam session. This was groundbreaking stuff.
I got accused of copying their material. There was a group at Silver Dollar City when I had the show down there, and I got accused of copying their material. And it was Dooley, and there's a time.
I wish you hadn't done
Plagiarizing.
that.
But it's interesting to find out what, as I get older and I look, you start reflecting and what have you really done, for your time on the planet. And to hear you talk like that and to maybe magnifying that by other people, that makes me feel really good to hear that had a positive effect on.
Well, it definitely did. I cannot tell you how much we listened to the Dillards music. My dad was a huge fan, and we learned all that stuff. And it was just, it's incredible. Like I said, tonight was a really, really big honor for
excited,
us.
Yeah.
So
wow,
I was really,
I
really
appreciate
cool to
it.
see
Can
that.
I have that guitar?
No.
3, 2, 1.
This all started with a passion. Music has been a part of our lives for as long as I can remember.
Our goal from the start was to have an outlet where we could feel that passion in others.
At the Acoustic Shoppe, this is not just what we do, it's who we are.
One, two, three.
stand up.
I'm glad you stood up for that one.
I need to go to the bathroom. Yeah, I'm glad I did too. Otherwise, this chair would have been a mess.
Well, that was Rodney Dillard. That was incredible.
Loved it.
That was like a dream come true for the rest of
One of my
us.
favorite things to do.
And I got to play with a legend. We got to play with a legend. Played Dooley, and we got to play There's a Time and Old Home Play. All the classics right there.
If you got a lot out of that interview, believe me, it was about 4 hours longer than we were able to air.
History of not only bluegrass music, but rock and roll, the West Coast.
You wait till you
was
hear the
there.
story he had about Andy Griffith. It is a
Bombshell.
And we couldn't fit it in the show, but you're in luck. We've got it on our YouTube channel, the Ozark Music Shoppe. This is going to be a headline across the world when this gets released. You got to go check it out and see what he said about Andy.
It's not going to be in its full entire. 4.5 hours is too long, Jeremy.
Yes, but Andy, you wait till you hear what they say. No, but we did put the full interview, or most of the interview, on our YouTube page, the Ozark Music Shoppe. So be sure and go there and subscribe.
Subscribe there. And also, while you're looking at YouTube, open up a new tab on your browser and then type in Facebook/The Ozark Music Shoppe or Google it. Either way, it'll get you there. Like us on Facebook because we have all kinds of content, including behind the scenes footage, pictures, comments on current events, possibly, I don't know.
We live stream.
Cats, pictures of our cats.
That is very popular on Facebook right now.
It is. Cats.
Anyway, also come back next week.
That's right.
Because you know what? We're going to have another episode.
You just wait till you see who we have next week.
I can't wait right now.
I can't
don't
wait.
know who-
Tell me.
I'm not
Tell me who.
I don't know.
No, you can't do that to me.
You just wait and see.
Get rid. See you next week.
I don't know. I don't know who's here.
Hey, can we take a moment to point out how many pockets Jeremy has on his pants? Stand up for us, Jeremy. Stand up.
When you're an
Those
expert, you get.
I can't tell if you're coming or going. That's my problem.
pockets. That's a back pocket or a front pocket? It's got, how many are on the back side? Closed captioning and other considerations provided by